Hello again. Welcome to the eighth and final topic in our series when we're looking at theism versus atheism and comparing and contrasting them in the marketplace of ideas. This whole kind of series is kind of brought up because it's often, I wanted to do it because there's often thought of as being a conflict between Christianity and spiritual beliefs and science. And I wanted to show that really isn't the case. That science and Christianity are completely compatible, and that if you look at it from the available evidence that we have, and if you look at it using rational thought and logic, that Christianity is actually and theism in general are actually far greater um, uh, explanations and offer more as worldviews in explaining science and what we rationally observe in the universe than materialism, strict materialism, and atheism do. And so the final topic here is actually called Christianity Begat Science, because without Christianity, there wouldn't be science and a scientific method as we know it. It was out of Christianity that science and the scientific method originally arose. So in the late Middle Ages in predominantly Christian Europe, the scientific method originated and eventually led to the scientific revolution. Other cultures, such as the ancient Greeks, Chinese, and Arabs, had been more advanced than Christian Europe during this period, but they failed to develop science. The predominant reason that science developed in Europe when it did was because of Christianity and the Christian worldview, which believed in a monotheistic God. So they believed in one God who created everything. And so they believed that everything should reflect the characteristic and the mind of this one God. And this God was rational and created everything with order and purpose. So based on this view, Christians thought that his creation should be rational as well as knowable. That means that humans could study nature and figure it out. By doing this, Christians believe they could essentially think God's thoughts after him and come to understand him better. This view is known as natural theology. Christians believed in two divinely inspired books, one being the scriptures or Bible, and the other being the universe and nature created by God. Both were sources of inspiration from God. The created material world was inspired by God, and Scripture, the Bible, was inspired by God as well. And all truth is God's truth. And both nature and the Bible would complement and reinforce each other. In the Christian worldview, the universe is rational and ordered because it is created by God, who is also rational and ordered. Humans who are created in God's image should be able to discover this order and rationality of the universe because of our God-given rational and investigative abilities. However, humans are also fallen creatures. Because of the corrupted and fallen nature of humans, our ability to discover and know God's creation is hindered by our own biases, self-delusion, pride, and imperfection. To help overcome this, a systematic, falsifiable, and testable system of inquiry was developed to help corrupted humans understand the universe as it really is through objective and rigorous investigation. This system of investigation became what we know as the scientific method. The first practitioners of science, such as Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, Newton, Boyle, that eventually led to Maxwell and many others, were all Christians and believed that the material world is evidence for God, his character, and nature, and we may investigate it to discover more about him and the world beyond the material world. Johannes Kepler said, "The chief aim of all investigations of the eternal world should be to discover the rational order and harmony which has been imposed on it by God and which he revealed to us in the language of mathematics. The idea that because there is an all-powerful, rational creator who created the universe, and thus the universe should be rational, ordered, and knowable is the very first hypothesis. So that's basically the very first hypothesis that science came up with, that the very first practitioners of the scientific method came up with, that they weren't necessarily even really cognizant of or thinking about, was the idea that if there is a divine creator who's rational and intelligent, then the universe should be rational and intelligent and knowable. And the fact that the universe is that way points back to their very first postulate that there is in fact a divine creator, a rational being who ordained and put this all together. So the fact that the scientific method works and the universe is rational, ordered, and knowable supports the hypothesis that there is a rational intelligence, like the God of Christianity, behind it. The entire foundation of science rests on the truth of a divine source. So that concludes our series here. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more about it. This is certainly a topic that you can go a lot deeper in, and there's a lot of other resources, and in a lot of ways what I've brought up here just kind of scratches the surface of it, but I'd love to have more discussions with you about this if you want to. So thanks for watching these, and I hope you got a lot out of them. I hope they can benefit you and your small groups. So have a wonderful and blessed experience. Goodbye.